Hey folks, I'm David Lutes from Austin, Texas, and I'm in the music room with Treadway and Friends.
Jackie found him sleeping in her car. His old boots were sticking out over her yard. With a slap from her right hand, and nearly jumped out of his skin. The car horn woke up half the block, they say. Well, Johnny heard her laughing as he screamed. It was nicer than his whiskey-colored dream. He tried to pull his boots back in, but she was holding on to them. And Johnny caught the stick shift, or as they say, the sun don't shine. He's a king of the sandlot right in the small town rodeo. She's a queen of the laundromat doing the cowgirl do-si-do. No tens, just dimes, but it's something finding love in the hard times. Johnny knew her glances didn't lie, as he was stealing looks over coffee in her double wide. He looked like what the cat dragged in, and then coughed up again. But somehow she was smiling at the sight, 'cause Jackie saw the blue behind his black eye. And a young man's body, oh, before its time. And she knew what it was like to be falling down all your life. And he had hit rock bottom in her 83 Chevette. He's king of the sandlot right in the small town rodeo. She's queen of the laundromat doing the cowgirl do-si-do. No tens, just dimes, but it's something finding love in the hard times. Johnny brought his jeans to have them cleaned. 8 years of Texas dirt under the seams, and his body's healing good since he's been working under hoods and clowning out the rodeo for free. Well, Jackie picks him up on the weekends in her 83 Chevette where it began, with a grocery store, red rose, Dairy Queen and the radio. A night on the Oasis, all their friends are in low places. He's a king of the sandlot right in the small town rodeo. She's a queen of the laundromat doing the cowgirl do-si-do. No tens, just dimes, but it's something finding love in the hard times. No tens, just dimes, but it's something finding love. Yeah, it's something finding love. Yeah, it's something finding love in the hard time. Hey.
you.
I'd like to welcome you, David, to In the Music Room. You've come all the way from Austin, and we are so glad you're here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a
You're
pleasure
welcome.
to be here.
We've been waiting a while.
It has been a while.
Yeah, we've been talking on the phone a while and visiting, and a lot of mutual friends up and down the pipe, and now you're here. David, first thing I want to get to is these awards you're winning all of a sudden. I look up at your page, and you look like a professor up there in your suit, and you got your suit on receiving all these awards. Tell us about this.
Well, we poured a lot of time and energy. By saying we, I mean myself and then a great backing band and some great Austin musicians, and then my longtime producer, Boo McLeod, into making this last album. Been building up to it with touring and songwriting for several years since my first studio release. We, pretty early on in the process, we knew we had something really good on our hands. Carried it through and put it out, and thankfully the reception was good, and so had a few different awards organizations pick up on it.
Now, you've got an album that I'm looking at here called Big Top, and
That's right.
It's a double album.
Double album.
Not many people do double albums anymore.
No, we got into recording, and we kind of figured, okay, we're going to record 15, 16 songs, and surely there are going to be 3 or 4 that we're going to want to cut. And sure enough, we got to the point with the recording that we just liked everything we were hearing, and the musicians who were playing on it were doing such a great job that we felt like, maybe the answer is not to cut anything and to just kind of buck the trend in the music business right now, which is to release singles and put out EPs, and let's just go back to the old times and put out a double album.
That's what we've done here in the studio.
Yeah,
going
exactly.
Back to the old times.
Make it look like something that you actually want to sit down with and listen to, and it reminded me of all the great old LPs that I grew up listening to.
Who did the artwork?
A good friend of mine, a guy who runs a company and record label down in Austin, a guy named John Patillo. Who,
I want to give him credit because it's a great cover.
Oh, he did a great job. Yeah, we were drawing inspiration from old French circus posters, and we wanted a picture of me that looked like P.T. Barnum.
Well, and you got out there, and I'm thinking, this is a different David Lutes here. This is not the same guy. Then I met your dad today. Got to meet your mom and dad, and then all of a sudden I realized, you look just like both these folks. You got both. You definitely got the genes.
I got the genes, and my daughter looks like us too. So.
And now that you're a musical family, we were talking about that
That's
earlier.
Right.
Tell us a little about that growing up in that music environment.
Well, my folks are multi-talented folks, and they both have had a lot of varied experiences playing and singing music. We grew up in a family, my sister included, just a bunch of people who really enjoyed music, could play music. So we would spend time early on, at least in the car, on the car trips. That's probably my earliest memory of singing along to bluegrass tunes on the cassette player.
So
driving to
bluegrass was the background?
Well, bluegrass, but at the same time, my mom currently sings in the Dallas Symphony Chorus. And so I grew up taking piano lessons and doing voice lessons at school and singing in choir. And so I had this pretty broad range of exposure. Dad had a bunch of great old rock and roll LPs too, and then on the other side we had, classical music and Bach, and we had jazz. Just all sorts of stuff that I was exposed to at an early age. All informed my taste, but also going to a great school where I had lots of opportunities at school and church to get up in front of people.
Where was that? Where'd you go to school?
Went to school in Dallas at Highland Park High School. And
fairly familiar with it.
Yeah.
Growing up in Denison, we played y'all a few times.
Yeah, we had a rivalry there for a little while. Great arts program, and for a kid like me who just ate up music and theater and things like that, there were always opportunities and a lot of support in various ways. And so,
now we've had Ross Vick in, and Ross has got a band called True Heart.
Okay,
and he lives in Highland Park, and he's been here a number of times and has been a big supporter of what we're doing. Go ahead.
You have a song. It's called "I Love the Way You Move." Why don't you set that up for us and then play it for us? I'd love to hear it.
Well, sure. I'm including in this set for our taping today a couple of new songs. In part because I kind of like to throw myself in the fire with new music and just make myself play it. I've played a couple of these songs on tour in a few shows this year, but I've yet to record them, and so. But they're songs that have a lot of meaning to me right now. I wrote this one actually while I was on a European tour last year, and far away from my wife and my daughter, and thought I'd write a little love song that reflected my mood while I was far away.
It's called "I Love the Way You Move."
It's called "I Love the Way You Move."
Here's a song for a day when I'm a million miles away. I love the way you move through the street or on a phone when we're all alone. I love the way you move. I played it cool, as a lost and lonely fool, just tripping on my own. But you walked in and found me trying to catch the wind, and gently led me home. In the yard or on a train, when you took my name, I love the way you move. I played it cool, but as a lost and lonely fool, just tripping on my own. You walked in and found me twisting in the wind, and gently led me home. Just a love remembered new, a V on rose for two. I love the way you move. I love the way you move.
I bet she liked that. Anybody's got to love a song like that. That's awesome. Tell me, what type of places do you play?
Well, it really depends. Around Texas, I have been known to haul a band around with me, in which case we'll play some of the sort of more roots rock and venues and that sort of Americana venues and that sort of thing. But increasingly this past year, I've been doing a lot of solo duo shows, much more folk directed sets and that sort of thing. And I'm going to be going on tour in a couple weeks, so back over to Europe and doing all solo duo shows, which I've been doing about once a year.
Get a pretty good response in Europe.
Yeah, it's been
what I've heard.
It's been great. They particularly in Western Europe, they have a real love for Texas music, Americana music, blues, roots type music, and so there's just a big, particularly with the UK, there's a huge connection musically. Obviously, we've been sending music back and forth and invading and reinvading each other's countries and all that sort of thing musically for a long time. So
we have a couple of Brits in the room. So
yeah, we do.
Yeah. He came all the way from the UK just to hear me, right? That's how much they love me. Yeah.
See? Proves the point.
Now, if you had a choice of any place in the world that you could play that you haven't played, where would that be?
Oh gosh. Well, language can be a barrier, but I have heard that the south of France is a lovely place to go play folk music, so I might like to go do a tour there sometime. And I'd love to go back to Ireland and do a full circuit. I've been doing a lot in the UK and Scotland and Wales, and Ireland's it's kind of its own creature, but we owe so much to the Irish for our folk and bluegrass tradition.
Oh, yeah.
So it'd be fun to take these back there.
Sure.
I had an old friend that you may know, Darlene Sovereign. That Darlene, is from Montreal, and she played all around the South, and then she went to Ireland, and nobody heard from her for about 3 years. She just stayed over there. She had so much fun.
You hear that happen to people.
You've got a song called Rise Up, Elijah.
Mm-hmm.
Set that up for us and tell us about that song.
When I went to college, I studied history, and I focused, later on in my major, I focused on Southern history, particularly on racial integration. I wrote a paper my senior year about racial integration that focused a lot on oral history, so the things that had never been written down but have been passed along, having to do with a lot of that darker history in the South. Became really fascinated with the Underground Railroad, which, of course, as many of you know, was the route to the north to Canada, often for slaves who were trying to escape the South. There was, of course, no guarantee of freedom, and a lot of them would be captured. At the very least, they'd be captured and sent back, and a lot of them were killed. And there's no numbers. That could be tens of thousands. It could be hundreds. I mean, they just don't know. A lot of the stories were passed down, either from those that escaped or from those who were left behind. And so I was real interested. I'd never really heard a song about it, and I wanted to write a song that focused particularly on a family and a father who's sending his son away along the Underground Railroad.
So you're taking that perspective.
Taking that perspective of the father of enslaved and knowing that he can't get away, but he's sending his son away, and all they got to hold on to is hope that they'll see each other.
You can parallel that with the Holocaust and a lot of other things.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's just it resonates with a lot of different histories.
What would you think about doing that song for us?
I thought we were just here to talk.
So did Reno.
Sorry, Reno. Okay, this is a song called Rise Up, Elijah.
Gospel and memory is all that I own. They've taken the rest of me through my hands that work their soil. But you've been the hope for me, and freedom's your birthright. And I have this hope for you through the Mississippi night. Rise up, Elijah, my only son. Think I'm your mother, my true one gone, and look to heaven with your final prayer, and I'll find you there. Salvation on the railroad, they say it runs underground, and it's running past the pine box that holds your mother down. Until we rise in glory, just like she always sang, and we'll see you on that chariot, burning cotton with its flame. It's flame, flame, rise up, Elijah, my only son. Think of your mother, my true one gone, and look to heaven with your final prayer, and I'll find you there. As I walk you through the meadow, darkness takes you from my view, and with a gospel and a memory, you take the best of you. Love across the river, the waters move aside, and love across the desert, the promised land abide. Abide, rise up, Elijah, my only son. Think of your mother, my true one gone, and look to heaven with your final prayer, and I'll find you there. I'll find you there. I'll find you
I'm really impressed with that high note. My gosh.
It's the coffee.
Is that it?
Or something. Maybe my jeans are too tight.
Okay.
Well, we're not going to go there.
This is a PG,
Okay,
this is
we'll
a
see you
PG
guys
crowd.
later. Show's over. No. Question: who would you say are your three biggest songwriting influences?
Oh gosh,
Made you want to write?
that's not fair.
I didn't say it'd be fair. You didn't ask me if I'd be fair.
Oh no, well, gosh, listening to the Beatles. I mean, Paul McCartney and John Lennon.
Good environment.
Pretty good. I'm preaching to the choir in this room. But I mean, how can you not love pop music when you hear the stuff that they came up with? And they invented so many of the things we take for granted with pop music. And then picking up Billy Joel, picked up on that and made it a very American kind of thing with his music. I've always loved the creativity and the hooks and the melodies have always just gotten me with pop music. In the folk world, I mean, Paul Simon.
Isn't it amazing?
It just keeps going. Paul Simon, the Biggies, who just the texture,
fearless. They're totally. Paul Simon's as fearless as I've ever seen.
And he clearly just writes because he loves to write, and he's not.
And he'll take any group of musicians,
any
place, and make it work.
Guys like Paul Simon, James Taylor, who really brought folk music into the mainstream. coming in the early 70s. Then folks like, I love Lyle Lovett, and I love some of the big Texas songwriters, and Billy Joe Shaver. And
now, something took you to Austin from Dallas.
Well, actually, I had a 7-year interlude in North Carolina, which is and picked up on some of the great songwriters up there. David Wilcox, obviously that's the land of Doc Watson there in the North Carolina, in the Blue Ridge. So there's great bluegrass and also great folk music up in there.
Do you know Andrew McKnight?
Not personally, but
Drew's come through, and he's done 2 shows with us, and he's coming through in January. He's in that vein too, very similar vein.
Yeah, so I've always been an omnivore in terms of music, and so my influences are all over the board.
An omnivore. That's great. That's the first I've heard anybody use that.
Does that mean you'll eat anything?
I'll eat anything. That's true too.
Now you are sticking around for the evening. Well, tell us about your sticking around.
As Randy said earlier, I'm sticking around for the house concert tonight. This is actually one of my newest songs. I wrote this on tour in June, and I'm going to play another song in a little while that's maybe chapter 1 of this one, and it was a song I wrote after I was fairly newly married. I actually wrote it for one of my good friend's weddings, and it's called I Found You, which is all about being sort of lost and forlorn and finding love, and how wonderful that is, and it absolutely is. This one's now almost 10 years into my marriage, and this is the tagline is I found you and you're sticking around. So
it's marvelous when you find a woman that'll put up with
yeah,
us.
that's exactly what the sentiment behind the song, and sort of learning, I've still got a ways to go, and but I'm trying.
The effort is everything.
Progress.
Yeah. Work in progress. That's exactly it.
That's a Kennedy Treadway song. We've already written that song.
I left town about an hour ago with a bad mix of whiskey and a one-man show in this dog and pony rodeo. And I feel like a jerk for all I said. I got the word of God booming in my head, so I pull off the road ahead to get it right before I get to bed. So I thank you for sticking around here, sticking next to me when I'm stuck and I'm down the road of peace towards paradise I found. 'Cause I found you and you're sticking around. Oh, oh, oh. Think about the folks who really lost their way. They're dying and lonely, they got debts to pay, or oil in their etouffee. And that I can't be a selfish bore. I've been into the apple, ate it down to the core, and I deserve to be shown the door. But Jesus loves me, and so you're hoping for more. So I thank you for sticking around here, sticking next to me when I'm stuck and I'm down the road of peace towards paradise I found. 'Cause I found you and you're sticking around. Like a Peter, Paul, and a Ruth. You know he gave this child some truth, that on this day of days, that he might rise above this drunken haze. I got back home about an hour ago. Baby's in the crib, there's some food on the stove, and you're asleep on the sofa in your beat-up older robe. But it's an angel's wings as far as I know. So I thank you for sticking around here, sticking next to me when I'm stuck and I'm down the road of peace towards paradise I found. 'Cause I found you and you're sticking around. 'Cause I found you and you're sticking around. Yeah. Oh, oh, oh.
Well, at this time, I'm going to open it up for questions from our audience. Does anybody have anything they'd like to ask David?
David,
Yes.
do you ever get to Memphis to play on Beale Street, maybe?
I'd love to. Can you book me a show? No, that's one of the major music cities I have yet to play in. I've played in Nashville and you know, a lot of the other big places, but I Memphis, I don't know. I went there as a kid. We did a trip there. We went to a show on Beale Street and we went to Graceland and maybe I'm still intimidated or something. I don't know. But
she lives right down the road from Graceland.
Yep.
Wow.
Literally on
Yes.
Highway 51.
Maybe we can do a house concert at Graceland. That'd be.
What about at her?
Or at her house.
At your house. Now we're getting there. You went from asking me if I'm going to play a show to would you like to host one? That's where we're going with this.
You
Yeah,
said church influence has been an influence on you.
that's right.
How has that touched your life?
I mean, great gospel music has informed so many American genres, and from blues to bluegrass to lots of singer-songwriting. It's my Christian faith is very important to me, and so when you're trying to live that out, it ends up always coming to bear in your songs. So when you're approaching a song about love, you approach that from a certain perspective, and when you're approaching a song about disappointment or whatever, it's where are you taking it. That's where I draw from that well. Thankfully, a lot of great old hymns and great old gospel music, just also really good music, great tunes and great and it's great lyrics and great writing, and all the way back to John Wesley and before. I mean, just you sit and look at those, and particularly if you're connecting with it, there's nothing like some of those songs. And so so I see my tradition of songwriting is very much the same thing. We're writing out of our heart ultimately.
Well, and the Bible says God is love. That's the definition.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd mentioned you can't really have one without the other.
That's true.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah. I think true and full understanding of love is also understand God.
I know that I'm getting a signal over here that we're getting closer to the end of the show. Sure. I don't want to lose these last two songs. The song that you referenced earlier, "Found You."
Mm-hmm.
You think you could slip into a little bit of that for us?
I'll slip into it.
Oh, I thought you were going to use about 5 more capos.
No,
Come on.
I decided to put one down.
We've got a few extras if you need them. So.
I just clip them to the headstock, clip them to my
There you
ears. Yeah. Another little jazzy love song.
Where the world is spinning faster than I think I care to run, and I need a place to pace my heart and rest these weary bones. But there's something in your eyes that speaks of timelessness and peace. A harbor safe for storm-tossed hearts, a refuge I could keep. I've been lonely, I've been searching for that girl with golden hair to call my queen and I a king. And this has been my prayer, that in her heart there'd be the strength to understand this man and love me in spite of it. Love me tonight if I reach out and take her hand. Oh, 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 oh. Well, timing had no meaning when we speak of eternity. time is only a measure of something greater than we see. Knit up in our tapestry of hearts and minds and bones. Forget a love in which we measure our love, a life by which we may go, a life by which we may go. Yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Well, the world is spinning fast, but rather stroll through my days with you and hold you and love you, thanking heaven above that I found you, and that's enough. I don't really oh, oh, oh,
Don't ask me why, but I really think that Stevie Wonder would buy that song. I could hear him. Couldn't y'all hear Stevie Wonder doing that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, a lot of people who are listening that aren't present are going to want to get your CDs. Where can they find those?
They can go to www.davidlutesmusic.com, and there's a online store section that's got links. You can buy them on iTunes if you're into that sort of thing, or physical record stores. There's a great Texas music only online store called mytexasmusic.com, which have been real good to me, and they've got all three of my recent releases, including a limited release live solo acoustic album.
Give me the names of your albums so they know.
The first one is Lightning Wheels, which I put out under the name Plum Tucker, which I used for the first several years of my career to encompass my performance and then my band and all that sort of stuff. And then I started to release under my name with my live album called Solo Stages, which I put out a few years ago. And then we released Big Top Volumes 1 and 2. That was in 2009. And
very good.
Yeah, that's under my name.
All right. Well, I'm getting the signal. It's about time to get to that next song. We want to hear it. It's called You Belong. Tell us about it.
And he does belong.
He does, absolutely.
He does belong.
The You Belong is referring to my wife. And the full title is You Belong in Pearls Tonight. So that's all about the things that, as a working singer-songwriter musician, you don't always have the available cash laying around to actually buy a string of pearls for your wife.
This was up on YouTube, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is on YouTube, and this was actually nominated for Texas Song of the Year this past year.
Okay.
And so this is about the thing I can give, which is a song, and I think we put this song out right when the economy was about to tank, and I think not having a lot of money to do special things was started to resonate maybe with a few more people, and so this particularly for songwriters and musicians, I know this some folks could identify. So.
You belong in pearls tonight, set apart from your daily fight. As my angel of salted light, you belong in pearls tonight. I ain't got the money to buy them, dear, so here's some crimson ribbon for your long brown hair. Though it don't quite do justice, that don't seem quite fair. Here's some crimson ribbon for your long brown hair. You belong in pearls tonight, set apart from your daily fight. There's my angel of salt and light. You belong in pearls tonight. I ain't got a garden to grow for you, so here's some wild flowers of bronze and blue. They're kinda like your shining eyes, just a different hue. Here's some wild flowers of bronze and blue. You belong in pearls tonight, set apart from your daily fight. There's my angel of salt and light. You belong in pearls tonight. Well, if I had a gold mine, I'd try to buy the moon. For now, all I can afford is to sing to you this tune. And $10 for a bottle of a fine drugstore perfume. On second thought, perhaps I'll just sing to you this tune. You belong in pearls tonight, set apart from your daily fight. There's my angel of salt and light. You belong in pearls tonight. There's my angel of salt and light. Hey, you belong in pearls tonight. You belong in pearls tonight. You belong in pearls tonight.
Just real quickly before we close the show, I wanted you to also to tell us about this guitar you're playing and the gentleman that makes it, and kind of, I know it's a hybrid.
Yeah.
I can tell by the body and everything.
Sounds
So
good,
tell us a
though.
little bit about it.
This is a Leach guitar, spelled like Leach, and it's a guy named Harvey Leach is a luthier out in Grass Valley, California. He has probably the craziest inlay work I've ever seen in my life, and he's got a website. You can look him up, you can Google him, and he's got. That's the thing he's into now, and he's not really making my guitar very much anymore. I think it's it's a little too basic for him.
Basically, it's just for those that can't see it. It's a classical.
It's a classical shape.
Body.
It's called a grand concert. Is the shape.
Yeah.
So it's a slightly slimmer model, a little bit smaller. Looks like a classical guitar. Doesn't have a pickguard on it. It's got some beautiful inlay work around the sound hole, and just a lovely shape, extra fretting, and Adirondack top. And but it's my old guitar is a Martin Dreadnought, and it's a great guitar. It's got a wonderful sound. But this fits my body style a little bit better, and so this has become my workhorse. And
I wanted to also let people know that you're going to be not only back tonight, of course, the people that are in the room, but you're coming back. In November, we're going to do this thing again.
That's right.
And we're looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll get in another In the Music Room show at that time and get some more of your music here.
Oh, that'd be fun. Sure.
We'd sure like for you to. And thank you, David, for coming. I know it's not an easy thing to drive up here from Austin just to do one of these hour shows, but I think you'll get a good exposure out of it.
Absolutely.
And we want to thank you for being in the Music Room with Treadway and Friends.
Well, thank you all so much. It's a pleasure to be here.